children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of life, longing for itself. They come through you, but they are not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You can give them your love, but not your thoughts. Oh, they have their own thoughts. They have their own thoughts. You can house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in a place of tomorrow which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You can strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you. Strive to be like them, but you cannot make them just like you.
When I first came into space, my girlfriend was like, come to this dance class and it's gonna be fun, and you know, you can just watch me or whatever, because I gotta go to this dance class. And so, you know, being a street thug as I was, roaming around on the streets all day, all night, I was like, all right, I'll come sit in your little dance class and that'll be so fun, cute. So I sat in there and they started doing some pretty neat moves. I think at that time the Rocio Mendoza was the teacher, and she's like, well, come and try it out, you know. And so I tried it out, and it got to be really challenging, and I really liked the challenge. And that night, instead of going home and getting ready to go out for the night with people who I really probably never should have even known, I laid in bed and counted in my head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, over and over, trying to get the steps that, you know, because maybe I just go to the next dance class. And that's how I first started space, and it pulled me out of a lot of things that weren't healthy, and it got me into an environment of healthy people that were so much fun to be around. And then when I first went to the first performance, I guess, that I didn't even know there was going to be performances, and seeing all these different ages of different kids and all these different kinds of dance, and there was just a whole nother world out there that I just didn't really even realize existed in this small part of California. And I was really thankful, because from then on I never strayed too far away from it at all.
Space, School of Performing Arts and Cultural Education, is a public benefit organization established in 1995, offering after-school programs for ages 2.5 to 18. Space's acclaimed musical theater program emphasizes diversity, youth leadership, cross-cultural arts, and exemplary training in the arts. Scripts are age-appropriate and may address issues of social, environmental, and cultural awareness, and nonviolent activism such as distribution of resources, unlearning racism, gender stereotyping, and/or sexual orientation. Intergenerational trauma between cultural groups is addressed through responsible collaboration with the intent of developing spiritual resistance. Paulette Arnold was born and raised in North Carolina on a tobacco plantation. Laurel Neer was raised in Potter Valley on a cattle ranch. Paulette graduated from Duke University and then found her way to Mendocino County, while Laurel, after extensive training in dance, toured nationally with Wallflower Order Dance Collective. Paulette became a legal secretary and helped found Ukiah Players Theater. She soon became an accomplished actress and director and began to teach creative movement and drama. Laurel returned to Ukiah to raise her children. After her first son was born, her midwife asked her to teach modern to her children. And so it began.
I've knew about space in 1999, and I learned about it through my partner Edwin Lockhart, and and I met Laurel Neer. And I started going to those plays with those kids, and they have like a diversity of kids. You know, they're white, black, and Mexican, Indian, and it seems like every time I went to those plays, I would walk out there with dried tears on my cheek, because it just, you know, it wasn't tears of sadness, it was tears of joy, because it was all kids doing this play, and they were just telling the truth, and I just felt so good that I could hear the future generations telling the truth, and they weren't denying nothing that happened in the past, you know, to Native people, to black people, to people of color, and how this country was built.
I'd never been in a place where everybody accepts everyone as who they are, you know? It's really different, but you feel really safe. You feel in a place where you can actually talk to people. You feel like a human, you know, not in like other groups or, you know, people. Sometimes they don't accept you because of how you look, because of how you talk, your accent, or, you know, whatever the reason is. In space, they love you as who you are, and I really liked it, so I stayed.
One of my favorite memories is when we had to do the fight scene in ITS, and we had to pick partners, and me and Lane, one of the kids from Laytonville, wanted to do a fight scene with me. He like turned to me and was like, let's do fighting together. And I was like, okay. And so we were just like fooling around and like trying to make it work. And like I was like, oh, you know, we're never gonna really remember these things. But I remember when I went home, I was like doing the fight scene in the shower with myself, and like just like practicing all I could. When we got back to Lane, like he hadn't been practicing, but like I knew all the little fight tricks, and it was just a lot of fun, like getting to like throw yourself all around the stage, and that was fun.
Having space was like having a second family. If I was having a bad day at school, or if I was having a bad day at home, and then coming to space, it was kind of just like, just a time to relax, and there was always someone there, whether a friend or a teacher who I knew I could always talk to.
Well, I have a lot of memories, but my favorite memory is just last year. Like this year, I was like TA, and I remember a couple of days after the last performance, it was my birthday, and one of the regular campers, they painted rocks. At the last performance, he came up to me and he gave me his rock, and he was really happy. He's like, thank you for being my friend, and just emotional. It was awesome.
Before I had kids, I went to space performances, and before my kids were even conceived, I knew that when I had children, they would be in space, that they needed to be up on the stage and screaming their screams and singing their voices and moving their bodies and learning how to interact with different kinds of kids and adults and become part of something bigger than just what our family could offer them. And they became part of space at 2.5, each of them at 2.5 years old, and they're still part of space. So it really became a part of all of our lives.